So you're an excellent person to talk to about the topic of people. Can you explain to us, how do you recruit, select, train, and develop staff?
Well, recruitment nowadays is through job boards, where you put your job on and people actually either give you a call, or in the old days, there was nothing called a sourcer. So now every agency has to someone who sits there all day looking at job sites, looking for people who have uploaded their CV, and then you see whether they would fit the job you have. To me, the best way to recruit is through recommendation. When someone recommends someone, you know they're going to be, someone worth looking at, and maybe you'd be able to place them, because people don't recommend people unless they think something of them and, consider them to be very good for the vacancy you've got. So that is a good way. We often recruit, we ask our own applicants who we've placed, saying, if you know anyone else, let us know. And honestly, it's a great way of recruiting when you ask around and people tell you, oh, yes, I know someone who would be able to do this job. So that is the best way. Selection, I look at everything, how a person walks in, what questions they ask. You want someone to be interested in your business. When you come to the end of the interview, ask them about themselves, their skills, and then you say, are there any questions? They say no. And you think, surely you've been through half an hour of interviewing, and you must have something that you'd like to ask about the company. And sometimes people just say, what's my salary? And you think, oh my God, that's all he or she wants is the salary. But it would be nice if someone took an interest and said, what's my department like? Who is involved? What are my colleagues going to be like? It makes you feel that someone is really interested. I like soft skills. And I find as a recruiter, people will take on people if they like them. Even if they don't have all the necessary skills, those can be taught. But your attitude cannot be taught. So attitude is enormously important. And you'd be surprised how often people would take on people who don't have everything that they wanted, but because they feel that they could fit into a team, won't be aggressive, won't want to work for themselves, they will take them on. I'll give you an example. I was a very young recruiter, and this young lady came in, and she wanted to be a receptionist, and she had sort of greasy hair, not dressed, and I thought, my God, I can't send her out. But at this high street agency, you had to make interviews. So for everyone you saw, you had to make 4 interviews. So I had to send her out to this client, and I was waiting for the phone call to say, how dare you send someone like that? How can she be on reception? And this man rang up and said, wow, she's such a nice person. She will get on so well with everyone. We love her. And that taught me that, you can't judge what people will want. If someone can do the job, yes, she could do the job. She just didn't look like someone who could do the job. You should send them out. And it's very important that your attitude is far important than your skills. You should seem like someone who, is happy to muck in. And you'd be surprised how often clients say, I would like someone to be part of a team. If something needs doing, then it's, no, I don't want anyone who says that's not my job or it's not in my job description. They just get down and do it, because that just gives you a whole team effort, a team spirit. And sense of humor to me is very important. It's great to have someone with great sense of humor, because, it just lifts the atmosphere. You can train people on the job if they have the attitude. So, people you can train someone, but you can't give them the attitude. I know I go on about it, but it's very important. And how do you develop staff? I think you give them training, you put them on the job, and then once a week, perhaps you speak to them and you tell them, how do you feel you've done this week? What can we do to help you to better yourself? And you'd be surprised. It's just that little bit of kindness and collaboration that makes people open up and say, oh, I would like to do something that Jamie is doing or something, I would like to. Sometimes in recruitment agencies, people do quite select work. So we have a legal department and we have a normal office department. And some people say, I really love law. Can I work in the legal department? So, and it's lovely to have someone who can do both sides. So you want to encourage people. You want them to feel as if they're a part of your business, not someone who's come in just to do the job and go home because he needs the money. You want someone to have a sort of a stake within your business. Even if you don't give them shares, they feel they're part of the business. They're part of the business that's going to win. And business is all about winning.